The first 45 to 60 minutes after waking determine metabolic direction for entire day. During this window, the body chooses between fat-burning mode or long-lasting fat storage. Signals received early create hormonal patterns that persist regardless of later meals or workouts. Later dietary choices and exercise cannot fully override decisions made during this early period. This mechanism operates independently from calorie intake, genetics, motivation, or personal discipline levels alone. Understanding this critical morning window explains why many fat loss efforts fail despite consistency. Correct signals during waking hours prime the body to safely release visceral fat later. Morning fat metabolism is controlled primarily by cortisol, not discipline or conscious willpower alone. The cortisol awakening response sends powerful safety or danger signals throughout the entire body. These signals inform the nervous system whether resources are available or conditions are threatening. Belly fat cells respond directly to cortisol levels by adjusting storage or release behavior. Elevated morning cortisol biases the body toward protecting energy rather than burning visceral fat. This process operates automatically without conscious control, explaining frustration around failed fat loss efforts. Understanding cortisol helps shift focus from force toward biological alignment for sustainable results long-term. Visceral fat contains significantly more cortisol receptors compared to other fat tissue types. This makes abdominal fat extremely responsive to psychological and physiological stress signals daily. Under stress, the body prioritizes storing energy near vital organs for survival purposes. Visceral fat is treated as a strategic reserve protecting against perceived future threats. Chronic stress repeatedly activates this storage pattern regardless of calorie intake or exercise. This explains why stressed individuals often accumulate fat centrally, even with healthy habits. Reducing stress signals is essential for unlocking visceral fat stores effectively and safely. Lipoprotein lipase determines whether circulating energy is burned immediately or stored as body fat. This enzyme acts like a switch controlling fat uptake into adipose tissue cells directly. Elevated cortisol activates lipoprotein lipase within visceral fat depots very efficiently. Once activated, fat is pulled from circulation and locked into abdominal storage rapidly. Morning activation of this enzyme biases metabolism towards storage for many subsequent hours. Later workouts or calorie control struggle to override this early enzymatic decision. Preventing morning activation keeps visceral fat accessible for energy use throughout the day. After sleep, the body is dehydrated, hormonally sensitive, and metabolically vulnerable to environmental signals. The nervous system immediately begins assessing safety, availability, and potential threats in the environment. Hormonal systems are primed to react strongly to early inputs after prolonged overnight fasting. Incorrect signals during this phase trigger protective responses that favor long-lasting fat storage. These responses persist throughout the day, influencing appetite, energy, and metabolic flexibility significantly. Morning vulnerability explains why small actions after waking create disproportionately large metabolic consequences. Protecting this fragile window is essential for preventing unnecessary visceral fat storage behaviors. Fat loss cannot be forced through discipline, restriction, or aggressive morning training routines daily. The body must perceive safety before releasing stored visceral fat for energy use efficiently. When safety signals are present, stress hormones decline and metabolic flexibility improves naturally steadily. Attempts to force fat loss often increase cortisol, reinforcing abdominal fat storage patterns chronically. This routine is designed to communicate abundance, control, and calm to the nervous system. Each step functions as a biological reassurance rather than a test of willpower alone. Safety first allows fat loss to occur as a consequence, not a command biologically. Signal 1: hydration and mineral restoration. Dehydration immediately elevates cortisol levels upon waking, signaling resource scarcity to the body systems. Sleep reduces fluid intake overnight, leaving cells and adrenal systems temporarily stressed upon waking. Sodium and potassium provide rapid signals of resource availability to the adrenal system early morning. Water combined with minerals quickly lowers stress hormone output after waking during early hours daily. This simple action shifts cortisol dynamics before fat storage enzymes become activated in the morning. Proper hydration restores circulatory volume, improving perceived safety and metabolic readiness across the body systems. This foundational step prepares the body to release visceral fat later safely throughout the day. Signal 2. Morning sunlight and circadian alignment. Metabolism is regulated by the circadian clock, which coordinates hormones, energy, and fat usage. Natural morning sunlight is the strongest signal to reset this internal biological clock daily. Light entering the eyes informs the brain that daytime activity conditions are safe. This signal rapidly suppresses cortisol and aligns insulin sensitivity for upcoming meals. Artificial indoor lighting provides weak, confusing signals that delay proper hormonal timing. Prolonged cortisol elevation from poor light exposure promotes visceral fat storage patterns. Morning sunlight establishes metabolic alignment that supports fat burning throughout the entire day. Signal 3. Delaying caffeine intake. Consuming caffeine immediately after waking interferes with natural wake-up chemistry in the brain. Adenosine clearance is incomplete, causing energy instability and delayed fatigue later in the day. Early caffeine can amplify cortisol output during an already sensitive hormonal window. This creates stronger fat storage signals, particularly within visceral abdominal fat tissue. Waiting 90 minutes allows cortisol to rise and fall naturally without artificial stimulation. Delayed caffeine produces smoother energy and reduces stress hormone-driven fat storage signals. This timing adjustment supports metabolic stability and improved visceral fat accessibility throughout the day. Signal 4. Low-intensity forward movement. High-intensity exercise during early morning increases cortisol during an already vulnerable hormonal window. The nervous system interprets intense exertion as a threat requiring immediate energy conservation responses. Slow walking sends signals of control, predictability, and safety to the brain and body. Forward movement creates optic flow, which directly reduces amygdala activity and stress hormone release. This calming input lowers cortisol without suppressing natural wakefulness or energy production mechanisms. Low-intensity movement preserves fat-burning potential instead of activating protective storage pathways early. Gentle morning movement prepares metabolism for efficient visceral fat use later during the day. Signal 5. Protecting attention from dopamine overload. Using phones immediately after waking floods the brain with dopamine and stress signals. This reactive stimulation keeps the nervous system in a heightened alert state all morning. Elevated alertness prevents cortisol from declining after its natural awakening peak. Sustained cortisol reinforces visceral fat storage and impairs metabolic flexibility throughout the day. Delaying phone use allows parasympathetic dominance and calmer hormonal signaling to emerge. Attention protection preserves mental clarity, emotional stability, and healthier stress responses early. This simple boundary supports fat burning by preventing unnecessary stress-driven metabolic disruption. No phone usage immediately after waking preserves calm neurological signaling and reduces early stress responses. Hydration with water and minerals restores fluid balance and signals safety to adrenal systems. Morning sunlight exposure aligns circadian rhythms and suppresses prolonged cortisol elevation naturally. Slow outdoor walking provides forward movement that calms the nervous system through optic flow. Delayed caffeine consumption allows natural wake-up chemistry to stabilize without artificial stimulation effects. Together, these 5 steps create a coordinated sequence of biological safety signals. This protocol prepares the body to access visceral fat for energy throughout the day. Cortisol follows a healthy rise after waking and then declines smoothly throughout the morning. This pattern prevents prolonged stress signaling that promotes visceral fat storage behaviors. Lipoprotein lipase remains inactive, allowing circulating energy to be used rather than stored. Visceral fat becomes accessible and available for energy production during daily activities. Insulin sensitivity improves supporting stable blood sugar and reduced hunger signals. Energy remains steady without crashes or dependence on constant stimulation throughout the day. These outcomes reflect proper alignment between hormonal signaling and metabolic function. When biological signals align, appetite decreases naturally without deliberate calorie restriction or mental effort. Energy remains stable throughout the day without crashes or compulsive stimulation-seeking behaviors. Fat burning increases automatically as stress hormones decline and metabolic flexibility improves steadily. The body releases visceral fat because it no longer perceives danger or resource scarcity signals. This process requires no forcing discipline or aggressive control over food or exercise behaviors. Alignment allows fat loss to emerge as a downstream effect of correct signaling. Sustainable results occur when the body feels safe enough to burn stored energy consistently. The body is not broken, stubborn, or resistant to losing visceral fat naturally. It responds precisely to signals received during sensitive biological timing windows each day. Most fat loss struggles come from sending incorrect signals at the wrong moments. Correct signals restore trust between the nervous system hormones and metabolism gradually. When timing and signals align, visceral fat becomes accessible without force or extreme effort. This routine works because it cooperates with biology rather than fighting it. Follow this channel for more science-explained routines that help your body work better naturally.